How are you?
All right, ready? You filming? You rolling?
Yep. It's our interview. Oh, okay.
All right, let's
I'm ready.
Here with Michael Grace from Legendary Misfits. So let me ask you, man, how'd you get into punk?
Well, I used to be a skateboarder. I had an older brother, and those are the days where people would bring their boom boxes and just put in their mixtapes, and I would hear punk music just like everybody else, and I dug it. I liked it. I never identified myself as a punk rocker. I got into the Misfits, and we were punk, but we were much more. It was the punk rock genre, but it was also like hardcore. It was crossover hardcore because of the metal that was injected into the sound. So the answer is I got into punk because I joined the Misfits, and the Misfits are closely related to the genre of punk, and so everybody associates me with punk. But again, when you really look at my body of music, I mean, there's punk politics and there's punk music, and those are two very different things. So I definitely have the punk ethos, right? The punk ethos is never let anybody tell you what to do. You do your own thing. Like Ian MacKaye said, punk rock is an empty room that you put your own furniture and decorate it the way that you want, individually. So if that's punk, then I guess I am punk, but I was never a cliquey person. I never flew the flag and said, I'm metal or I'm punk or anything. I'm just me.
So growing up in New Jersey, like, how did you get into like singing? Because it's not a lot of like punks and thrashers that sing. Like you have outstanding vocals.
Again, like I said, I was never cliquey, so I listened to a broad spectrum of music. There was always music playing in my house. My mom was always playing music.
What was your mom listen to?
Well, my mom listened to 60s, 70s music.
Meatloaf?
No, not necessarily Meatloaf. Just whatever was on the radio. Again, like old 60s, 70s music. I grew up with and my uncle in the house, and he listened like Bruce Springsteen, Donald Plain, bands like that, and 70s bands. But I was just, God made me an artist, so I just loved music. So just from a very young age, I've always been into art and music and theater. And so again, from a very young age, I found myself on a stage learning how to sing. I love opera. I love old...
Wagner?
Huh?
Wagner?
Yeah, I love... I love theater. I love to sing. I always have. And my voice, the voice teacher that I had, his name was Don Lawrence, and his father was a famous vocal teacher.
So you took vocals lessons?
I did. I studied for over 4 years, and the technique and the fundamentals that I know of how to sing is connected to what's called bella canta, which is an opera. It's a technique that is opera, and then what Don Lawrence did was the technique that his father used to teach. He took it and applied it to rock and punk and metal and all those things. And so that's how I actually learned how to sing.
So on stage, you were saying that you were about 19 years old, fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
How did you get hooked up with Misfits? Like, how did you meet them? How did that whole scenario go down? Where you like they auditioned you?
It's at the right place at the right time.
Like, how did they get going? Where you met them and they were like, all right, well, we're looking for a new singer, blah blah. And how did it feel actually getting in the band and fucking like getting the chance to sing for one of the most renowned, famous punk bands in the world?
I was at the right place at the right time. I was working in a studio in New Jersey, in Lodi, New Jersey. And
that's where they're from too, right?
Yeah. And again, I was just randomly in the studio. I randomly picked out the studio, and I was working on vocals for a demo that I was cutting with my band. And
what was your band called?
Mopes.
Mopes?
We were called Mopes.
Okay.
And the owner of the studio who was cutting the tracks with me said, "You're really, really talented. I know this band called the Misfits. They're looking for a new singer. You should audition." So he gave me Jerry's number, and I auditioned and stuck around for.
What was that phone call like? Like, hey,
I said, hi, Jerry. My name is Michael Emanuel. I got your number from Bobby Aleka. I hear that you're auditioning for the band. And he said, great, yeah, we are. Learn as much as you can. Learn, go buy, go get a record and learn as much as you can or as much as you want. Call me back and you come up and sing. And so I did. I went and I bought Collection 2, the yellow record.
Yeah.
And I put it on and I listened.
I like 2 better than 1.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I got through like Horror Business and I think like Hollywood Babylon. I was like, this is like I got this.
Fuck yeah.
I knew that I had gotten it. But I always tell the story. I was there for months and months and months, and it was really Peter Steele that got me in the band. I was a huge Type O Negative fan, and the Misfits were invited to come back, to relaunch their effort on Halloween 1994, I think it was. And Type O Negative had invited those guys to come out at their show in Roseland Ballroom in New York City. They didn't have a singer, so they asked Pete if he would sing. Pete said yes, but I don't know any of the songs. So everyone called me. He said, will you teach Pete the Misfits songs? I was a huge fan of Type O Negative, So I said, yeah. And so we all went to the rehearsal space. We started playing. And Pete stopped the rehearsal and said, he put his arm around me and he said, this kid is your singer. He's like, he sings these songs better than me. He sings it better than anybody.
How did that feel? Were you like
Pete was my hero, so yeah, that felt like to be seen and to be heard and to be recognized like that was just.
And I think it's very important for a musician. Like, you want to be recognized for your music, and,
of course,
and to be a musician, your talent. Like,
of
that's
course.
The most important part, I think, as a musician as well. Like,
sure. Yeah.
I feel you, man.
Yeah.
So, what was the first show like when you played Misfits? How'd that go down?
It was at Coney Island High.
Really?
It was after Roseland Ballroom. The rumors had got out and that the Misfits, after the Type O Negative show, were going to come and play a set at Coney Island High. Coney Island High was a really popular club back then. It was right on.
I seen like Nihilistic's flyers and whatnot from there.
Yeah, right. So we went there, and at first the band was arguing, and we weren't going to play. The place was packed. The place was packed. If the capacity was 300, they put 500 people in there.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. And we went up on stage and we started playing, and the place went fucking bananas. Bananas. And I had never seen, I had been to hardcore shows before, and I was in the crowd. I had never stood on stage and just seen. There were people on the rafters, and there were people on the stage, and there was
all those angry faces looking at you.
Bro, it was crazy, right? And these are the days there was no such thing as barricades, right? So the stage was right there, the people were right there. It was intense. It was insane. It was insane, like nothing I'd ever experienced in my life.
So let me ask you, man, what happened to the hair, bro?
It fell out like my father's,
spikes, and they just went away. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it happens when you get older.
You said you traded him in for your kids.
Yeah. I had dreadlocks for a while, and then it was just I said, "Fuck it, I'm shaving my head." It was falling out, so like my dad.
So, man, they tried to cancel you recently, man. What's up with that?
I've been being canceled for the past 20 years. The first time I stepped forward and started to write and really express my opinion about, punk politics and culture, especially, was in 2004. So, but the past 4 years with the political climate and the climate of the culture, all these cancel culture kids. Because of my affiliations with Proud Boys and January 6th and InfoWars, Alex Jones, and that bunch. People hate me. I mean, and they continue to cancel me, and so.
Well, we love you, man. We're all fans of you.
Thank you. I love you too. I love you too. I'll tell you what. For 20 years, one of my main concerns, what I write about, what I talk about, if I'm on InfoWars or anything like that, I've always been concerned with the climate of violence on the streets. I was saying it in 2004, I continue to say it now. Everyone saw what happened in 2020. And with the ideology and the things that are put out, and and you see what's happening to me. My concern is that once again there's going to be clashes on the streets between, again, the people that hate me and everyone else, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt. There's already people been stabbed, shot, killed, murdered. There's guys in jail that haven't done anything wrong. It's a fucking mess. You know, and you know, like the phrase that was coined, why don't we, why can't we all get along? We need to talk to one another, right? Just like in the old days, we can disagree about shit, but we can't confront each other in the streets and
well, we're all countrymen, and we should be united,
right. You can't
and
just
if we
because
have
somebody disagrees with you, that doesn't mean that they don't have a soul.
or that the enemy.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
we can be friends, even if your
Right.
opinions are different from mine. Yeah.
Right. So
And that's the thing with a lot of left wing or Antifa. They just want to immediately cancel you, immediately hate you, immediately try to shut you down. It's like, well, wait a minute. Like, my heart's coming from a good place. It's
Right.
not what you think. Like,
Right.
give me a chance to say my truth,
amen.
my speech.
Amen. Right.
Yeah,
I don't want to see any more confrontations on the streets like we've seen. We got to keep the peace.
But we're ready for it if it comes.
Right. If you want to fight, you better believe you got one,
Yeah.
right? It's the truth. It's
Hell
the
yeah,
truth.
dude.
And I hope that we can solve this all peacefully.
Michael Gaze, man, it was so good talking to you. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. Misfits.
Thanks.